Why avoiding marriage and kids is not the same as centering yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about decentering men. Listen, decentering masculine energy is spiritual, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So, avoiding marriage and kids is not the same as centering yourself. I think I'm going to make some people mad today in this video, and just avoid the blue tongue. We don't need to. I just drew attention to it, but it doesn't bother me. I might do a video on the blue tongue at a later time, but yes. So avoiding marriage and kids is not the same as centering yourself. Like I said, I might make some people mad, but we're going to talk about this thing because, and I say this all the time, I feel like it's super important. Because the thing is, when people talk about decentering men and they're in the space of decentering men and all the things, they often will have such pride about avoiding marriage and avoiding kids. And that isn't it. Though I'm not saying you need to do it or you don't need to do it. You need to do it or you don't need to do it. I'm not saying that. But oftentimes the rhetoric around decentering men and taking down the patriarchy is avoiding marriage and kids. And that's not it. That isn't it. What's interesting, I do entertain decentering men content. And one creator that I thought was really, really interesting is she talks about decentering men. She talks about the patriarchy and misogyny and all that kind of stuff, which I like to look at things from different angles. And so I do enjoy her content. But one of the things that she does is discourages women from love. She discourages women from finding a partner or being with a man. Now, you're familiar with my work. Decentering men is not about that. It's not about you not having a partner or you having to avoid men or all the things. It is not about that. It's not about avoiding anything. But the thing she talks about is about, well, she does discourage women from getting with men or being in a relationship with men, even though she is married. She's married. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with being married and engaging with men and having children and all the things, but you're discouraging other women from love. You're discouraging them from relationship. You're discouraging them from a romantic connection. And I just don't think that's it. And we're going to talk about why it isn't it. So a lot of women think decentering men means avoiding marriage and kids. And the truth is, that's not it. Because on this channel, I talk about decentering masculine energy because masculine energy is matter, the material world. And when it comes to manifest it like a woman, manifest it like a woman. When it comes to manifest it like a woman, life is my man. But I decenter life. I decenter life, the external, and I don't center myself around life. I center myself. I get centered. Because when you are avoiding marriage and kids, and you're not of the mind frame of really truly centering yourself, which is the spiritual journey for a woman, if you're not of that mind frame, you're just going to center something else. You're just going to center a career. You're just going to center money. You're going to center a group of people. And that's not it. That's not it. You are not meant to be orbiting other things. Things should be orbiting you. And I might do another video on what is your center of gravity, because gravity can bend space and time, but that's for another video. But you are to be the center. And even when it comes to kids, listen, I know that the cultural norm is to center your kids. But that's not it either. And I know I'm going to make some people mad with that. It's not about centering your kids. You don't want to be orbiting your kids, and the external should be orbiting something centered, something in peace, something in harmony. And that's why centering yourself is it. You are it. Your feminine power comes from being the center. That's where your feminine power comes from. And the reason why I even bring up the kids thing, because like I said, it is a cultural norm for us to center our kids and to put our kids at the center of our universe. What happens often is when you do that, that's a distortion. You start becoming chaotic because you're not centered. So I have a girlfriend that did this, and she lost herself in centering her husband, her marriage, centering her kids. She lost herself. And what happened is they started resenting her. They blamed, shamed her for everything that went wrong in their life, that they couldn't do certain things, that they couldn't get a job, or whatever it was. They blamed her. They started resenting her. That's what happens. And that's what often happens when you center things outside yourself, because that's the distortion. Now, I say all the time because oftentimes when I talk about decentering men, we are talking about men often, and the distortion is centering men. And so oftentimes what life reflects back to you when you center men is narcissism, abuse, toxic relationships, and those kind of things. And oftentimes when you center children, they get resentful, they are ungrateful, and these kind of distortions as well. But the truth is, love is the truth. And centering yourself and being centered is love. And when you are centered and you relax into life, my man reflects love back to me. And this is where you have to lean into trust, because anytime that we're trying to center our kids, center our marriage, this is the energy of control. We're trying to control things. We're not trusting. We're trying to control things. And that's why we center things outside of ourselves, because we're trying to control the outcome. We're trying to control how they view us. We're trying to control whatever it is. And that's not love. And when we center ourselves in peace, just like the eye of the hurricane, we center ourselves in peace and harmony and ease and flow and truth. We trust that life will reflect that truth back to us, that everything will work out because we are relaxed and in love. We are centered in love. So people will try to say that centering yourself, being full of self, we talk about on this channel, which is the spiritual journey for a woman, is to become full of self, is selfish. And I would have to disagree with that. Maybe it is selfish, but that's truth. Becoming full of self, centering yourself in love, centering yourself in peace, is trusting that life is going to reflect that love back to you. And trust that everything is working out in your favor. And I wanted to share this video mainly because here's the thing when it comes to women losing themselves, right? Oftentimes, the mainstream thing is when women lose themselves is because they got married and they had kids. We see that all the time because it is easy to center a marriage, to center a man, to center your kids, and they lose themselves. And so the movement of decentering men and taking down the patriarchy is, oh, we're just going to avoid it at all costs. But that's not it. Not avoiding it is coming from a place of fear, not love. And you can still center your pleasure and have a partner, have a loving relationship, have beautiful children. You can have it all because you are everything. You can have it all because you are everything. And so avoiding is living and coming and operating from a place of fear. And so, like I said, the rhetoric often is women lose themselves in their kids and marriage. So In this movement, we are going to avoid it. And whether you choose to have children or have a marriage is up to you. But it isn't about that, because if you're still of a mind frame, if you're still coming from lack and fear, and you're of a mind frame of centering things outside of yourself and not centering yourself, you're going to center something else. You might not center, if you avoid marriage and kids, you might not center that because you avoided it, but you're going to center a group of people. You're going to center your job, your business. You're going to center something else, because it's not about centering anything external to you. It's not about centering the material world or life. It's about centering yourself. And when I say centering yourself and your pleasure, this is being in the present now. That's what centering yourself and your pleasure means. Being present. Being connected to your sensuality, your pleasure, your senses, the smells, what you hear, the touch, what you're feeling, being present. That is truth. That, my friends, is resting in truth, resting in love, being present. So it's about resting in love, not fear. Avoiding, just like I said in the Men Are Scary video, whether you're centering men because you want to be chosen, or you're centering men because you hate them, you're still centering men. Or if you're avoiding, you're still centering something outside of you. And so we have to get out of this fear, lack mentality. Whether we're avoiding or hating, it's all the same. So pretty much what my message is in this video is, don't bypass something that's meant for you because you're coming from fear. And you're afraid, which is fear. You're afraid to lose yourself in a marriage. You're afraid to lose yourself with kids. Anytime you're coming from fear, that is still the patriarchy, because truth is centering yourself in your pleasure, being present, centering yourself, and operating from a place of being, because you are the softness. And when you start leaning into that, I am soft, I am nourishing, I am this foundational energy, raw potential, as me all things are possible. When you start leaning into truth, when you start leaning into love, life, the reflection, my man, reflects that softness back to me, reflects that love back to me, reflects the peace back to me. Harmony, ease, flow, decadence, richness. Life reflects that back to me. So really wanted to share that. What else did I want to say about that? I think that's all. Again, I understand the thought process. I understand where things are coming from. I get it. I will share, as a woman, having my kids and learning this about myself and decentering the external and going inward and resting in love, I've seen life, my man, shift and reflect that back to me. It's not, things will fall away, things will disappear, things will come into your life. This is what they call in the feminine community being magnetic. I don't like saying that, but I get where they're coming from when they say being magnetic, because where is your center of gravity? Where is your center of gravity? Because gravity attracts. We think about how things fall to the ground, right? Mother Earth attracts. Things come to her because her center of gravity. What is gravity? What is your center? You don't want to be orbiting chaos. You don't want to be orbiting confusion. You don't want to be orbiting distortion. Rest in truth and trust that life is going to reflect love back to you. It's going to reflect truth back to you. So I think that's all I want to say. That's all I want to share in this video. I hope I didn't make too many people mad, but truthfully, no one wants to be around something that's not centered. not centered in peace and love. Because when you're not centered, you got to think, if you do choose to have children, if you're not centered in peace, stillness, softness, nourishment, if you're not centered in who you are, because you are it, what are they orbiting? So centering yourself and your pleasure, connecting to your sensuality and your senses, and being in the present now is truth. All right. I'm gonna let y'all go with my blue tongue. I'm like, they're not gonna see my blue tongue, but obviously you see it. And so I've been working on my book, Manifest Like a Woman. We are almost done. We are almost there. And I'm really excited. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this topic as well. Centering yourself, your sensuality, your pleasure, the truth of that. And though I know that it's a little controversy to decenter the external, the material world, and center yourself and be full of self, it is what it is. Girlfriend, I would check you guys in the next video, and subscribe. I'll check you in the next one.